Hey, what up, everybody? It's Eric with My Melt Podcast. Today is September 23rd. We just are talking a little bit about the car accident that I just got into and some really awesome books that we've been reading lately. But if you'd like to support the podcast, just go to Justin Wren's Fight for the Forgotten. It's fightfortheforgotten.org and donate. There's a really cool way where you can make it, come out of your account every month, and the support will continue. So I hope that you enjoy this podcast. If you do, give us a 5-star review on iTunes or Stitcher. We really appreciate you guys, and thanks for listening. Later. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Eric with Mind Melt Podcast, and today is Sunday, September 22nd. So we're just checking in with you. It's been another hectic week. I think last time that we talked about how I wrecked my car, and today I wrecked my other car.
Yeah. It'd be nice if you could stop wrecking the cars.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah,
I'd like that.
Yeah, so I was driving along and a deer ran out in front of my vehicle because we live out in the middle of nowhere. And I happened to be on the side of a mountain, and I swerved around the deer and rolled it off of the mountain. So,
yeah,
rolled it twice, but managed to escape pretty fine.
Yeah, you got a cut in between your eyes right now.
Yeah. And I also...
You're a little sore.
I also, fucked up my,
shoulder area,
rotator cuff. I don't know what it is, but I'm sure it's okay. I'm not going to worry too much about it.
Our dog's good too.
Yeah, he was with
really
us.
scared.
I had to chase him like 2 miles, probably 2 miles, because he was running away from the scene.
Poor buddy.
Yeah. So, but it's okay. It sucks because I was like really stoked about this car,
Yeah.
But and I really liked it a lot, and I don't feel like I've really liked vehicles very much. Like this is the first time that I've found a car that I really dig. But
yeah, so now we have one car.
Again. Once again, time to carpool for a little bit.
But damn, dude, that was a pretty bad wreck.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's all the windows are busted out, like everything's fucked up.
Yeah.
Like rolling a car is pretty intense, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I've never done it.
I didn't think it was that bad. I really didn't. Like, it was kind of fun. The financial part of it sucks.
Fun?
Yeah, like, I don't know. It just felt like in the moment, it just felt very surreal,
Yeah.
I think that, like, I really do think that we, like, crave that adrenaline, And so having your life threatened is almost like an experience that you can enjoy.
Yeah. I can see that. You sent me pictures, though, and all you said was you don't have to worry about the smoke smell anymore with all these pictures of the car, which, by the way, we did get that smell out. So I worked really hard on that, and then you crashed it. So then I called you because I was like all freaking out, and I'm like, so where are you? You're like, I'm staring at it. But you were like so weirdly calm.
Yeah.
I could tell you were like it just happened.
Yeah.
Like your adrenaline was still like really, going hardcore.
Yeah. And it's all good. Like, I don't know. I just feel like in those situations, you can either A, you can freak out, or B, you can just handle it.
Yeah. It was better to handle it. I feel like you make better decisions in the moment if you're not flustered.
Yeah, definitely. And in those moments, there's not much you can do. Like,
it's a good reminder to wear your seatbelt, though, for everyone.
I wasn't wearing my seatbelt.
I mean, it's just worth it
to
wear it.
I guess.
What? You wouldn't have hit your head so hard.
Maybe.
You said you blacked out, didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
But, no, I'm not saying that I'm like against wearing seatbelts. Like, I think that seatbelts are cool and important. I don't know. I also, if I was in a seatbelt, I feel like I wouldn't have had the ability to like duck, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I might have fucked my head up more,
Maybe.
I don't know.
I don't think so.
You never know. like my dad, when he rolled his car,
Yeah.
it's a family tradition. And when he rolled his car, if he had his seatbelt on, he would have died because he like ducked and it was a convertible.
Oh, damn.
And so it was like,
well, that makes sense.
The seatbelt would have locked, and then he wouldn't have been able to duck.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm not an advocate for not wearing a seatbelt. But
that's a convertible, though.
Well, yeah.
It's a little bit of a different story.
I know. I agree. I'm just saying. I don't know, but I do know that statistically speaking, since they've installed seatbelts into cars, the rate of like vehicle deaths decreased by like 30 or 40%. So
yeah,
it's a pretty telling sign that it's much more safe.
Yes.
But cars nowadays are safe in general. Like, I mean, it's like I had glass all over me, but I was barely cut because the glass they make is shatter.
It shatters, but it's not sharp.
Well, yeah, it's safety glass though. Yeah. It's like does that on purpose.
I know.
It's crazy.
Cool, huh?
It's really cool. Yeah, because I mean, I was like, I had glass all in my head, all in my hair, in my mouth, and like I've barely got cut. The only cut that I got was from hitting my head against the window. You know?
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But so that was.
So I guess we'll save some money in carpool. Save some gas money.
Yeah.
Well, we put so much money into that car trying to get it all nice and stuff for you.
Yeah.
It's all right,
I just did a bunch of work on it, like replaced shit and whatever. But, you know, I mean, so the moral of the story is like you can either, you know, get into a car accident and think about how financially stressful it's going to be and let that ruin your day, or you can just brush it off and realize it's like whatever, it's inevitable. I mean, it happened. There's nothing we can do about it now. All we can do is try to move forward.
Yeah. It's just how life is, man.
Yeah. And I don't think that, you know, I just don't think that to sit there and stress out about it, it's just a bitch move, you know? You just gotta...
Yeah, you're just making it hard on yourself.
Yeah, you're making it harder on yourself, and you're making it harder on the people around you. And it's almost like, you know...
when there's good things in the future no matter what, if you look forward to it.
Well, shit,
like,
dude.
We're going to be just fine.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, like, if anything could have happened to me worse, you know, but, I mean, I could have died, or I could have hit my head, and I could have slit my fucking throat. I don't know. There's so many things. You know, I had tools in there. Like, I could have had the tools slam into my head. And so, at the end of the day, I walked away from it pretty clean. Bruno walked away from it clean. Yeah. You weren't with me, which was a blessing or whatever. And so... you walked away from it clean, and everything else in my life is good.
Yeah,
you know,
it's all that really matters.
Yeah, like it's
all
cool.
This other tangible stuff is just stuff.
Yeah, so I'm okay with it.
But let's recap your podcast you wanted to record last night, because I liked everything you wanted to recommend to some people.
Yeah,
I wanted to recommend some cool books.
Last night I tried to record a podcast by myself. And I was trying to do it with Instagram Live going. And so if there was anybody that listens to the podcast that saw that Instagram Live video, I'm sorry I had to end it quickly. I was getting a lot of interference in my microphones and stuff like that. So I just quit it. Bless you.
Sorry.
And I you know, stopped doing the video, and I just decided to stop recording at that point. But what I was talking about was just some books that I had been reading this week. I guess not reading. I always feel weird saying reading because I'm listening to them, but experiencing on Audible. And so, yeah, I read, this week I read 48 Laws of Power. I read The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield.
I listened to that one as well, and it was really good. Yeah,
so there's The Art of War by Sun-tzu or whatever, and then there's The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. So... don't get those confused, but The Art of War is also really good. Read that a long time ago. But yeah, and then I read The 48 Laws of Power. I'm currently reading that one.
How do you feel about that one?
I like it. But it's really weird. It makes me feel very, like, every time I turn it on, it makes me feel dirty. Yeah. Because... like evil. Yeah, well, I mean... it's weird because I think that power is a good thing, or can be. Yeah, it can be a good thing. It's not like it's a negative thing, but power
isn't evil. It just brings out it could just bring out evil that is already there and make it more powerful.
Yeah, exactly. It's like alcohol, you know, it just accentuates characteristics. And so if you're a giving person and you have power, you're going to be more giving. And if you're a cunt and you have power, then you're going to be more cunty.
Yeah.
But it is really weird because a lot of the characteristics in the book, I feel like I subconsciously do. Not for power moves, but just because I know that I guess it is.
It would be.
I just never thought about it like that. Like I never, you know, because it is definitely to make myself set up better, you know, and in situations that I'm in.
I feel like that's everyone. I feel like we all have our own agendas.
Right. Yeah. I mean, so it's like, I think that he is very good. His name's Robert Greene. For those of you that have never heard of this book is extremely popular. You know, everybody, there's a lot of really big like political figures that have commented on it. There's a lot of famous hip hop artists. There's a lot of famous actors and actresses that have read it and say that it like changed their career. So it's a pretty common book, but
it probably in that world helps them not get taken advantage of as much.
In some cases,
because they can recognize it in other people.
Right, and that's like what 50 Cent, because Robert Greene and 50 Cent wrote a book together called The 50th Law.
Seriously?
Yeah, but and so that was kind of like 50 Cent came out and said that it helped him like conquer the music industry because he realized what all the record execs were doing to him. But it definitely, you know, he kind of opens it up with the premise that, you know, you can use power or you can use this book in two ways, either to gain power or to recognize when power is being gained on you. And if you choose to gain power, then be careful, because once you have it, it's addicting and you're not going to want to let go of it. And he like really points it out really well. But what I love about him, and I've listened to a couple podcasts with him and a couple of interviews with him and stuff. And what I really enjoy about him is that he goes and he'll take like 500 books or 1,000 books and read them over the course of 2 years, you know, and then he'll compile all of this information on the books and like the parts that he references that he thinks that are important. He'll set up note cards for them, and then he'll, you know, at the end of the 2 years, he'll go through all of his note cards and he will compile all of the information, and then he'll write the books, and he'll have all of this like historical data of people that are influencing the information on the book. So he talks a lot about like the Rothschilds. He talks a lot about in the 48 Laws of Power. He talks a lot about just, I mean, think about anybody that's had power. That Henry Kissinger, he talks about a lot, which you know, Christopher Hitchens hated Henry Kissinger because he thought he was the most ruthless cunt in the entire history of man, which, I mean, there's a lot of evidence pointing that direction. But regardless of that, he was extremely good at negotiating, and Robert Greene just kind of sheds light on why he was so good. But the way that he does it is just really unique. So I love the way he writes the books, because a lot of
he sounds like a really good author.
He's amazing. Best author I think I've ever read. I'm pretty sure he's the best author I've ever read. And I know I've noticed since I've read this book, I've noticed a lot of authors that have tried to not take, you know, anything from him, but just like mimic his artistic writing, because I know that they wrote their books after him, and his artistic writing is so influential, I think, because what he does that's so cool is he lays it out like, so the 48 Laws of Power, obviously there's 48 laws. So he takes and he says like law 1, and then he says the law, and then he gives like a bullet point about the law, like information pertaining to the law, and then he gives an example of the law being used effectively, and then he gives another example of the law being used against someone. And so he uses real historical stories, and so he like tries to explain, you know, why that, like if he's talking about it being transgressed or whatever, he talks about the reason why it didn't work or it worked against that person, and then how those people were fooled or taken advantage of because of it. And then he'll talk about exceptions to the rule, and there's a lot of contradictions in his writing, because in that game there are a lot of contradictions. And it's what I love about it is that he'll lay out a law, and then I'm like, I don't know how I could see that being applicable. But then he says, this is only applicable if you use it in this situation. So it's like, if you're not famous, for example, and you don't have the influence of others, like, you can't go around parading this law, because people are just going to look at you like, who the fuck are you? Yeah, who the fuck are you to think that you can just come and do this,
Timing. Interesting.
Right. Yeah, he's really good, and I
would like to read it just for the experience, because
sure, yeah, and I think that everybody should read it, because I think that it's really important to have power in a way over yourself, and I think that knowing what other intentions might be is the way to have total power over yourself. And having power over other people is, in my opinion, it's really immature. Like, trying to control other people is really immature, and it shows
insecurity within yourself. And
and I just mean on a broader sense, like even all of the examples that he's giving, for example, like, I think that, like, if you try to do a lot of these things to other people, you're going to, you're not really mastering yourself. You're trying to master other people. But in my opinion, once you master yourself, you've mastered other people, because once you master yourself, nobody can master you.
Yeah, you can't be fucked with.
Yeah, and that's the only thing that matters is yourself. So it's like, if you are able to have complete and utter control over yourself, and like, what you're going to accept from people and what you're not going to accept from people, and you understand the element that people are trying to use against you, or it's not even like necessarily that they could do it with ill intent, but you have to know when a type of person, like, maybe the type of person is the kind of person that is they're the kind of person that needs other people to give them gratification in order to feel good, Well, you need to know that. You need to know what that kind of person is doing, and you need to keep them at arm's distance, because ultimately those kinds of people aren't healthy to have in your life, and you're not. A relationship should be two ways, and if they're looking for you for self-gratification, then they're never going to feel happy, and you don't want to be like, you need people to, you can help coach them in the right direction, and like experience it and explain to them, like, like, you need to do this to be happy, but at a certain point you have to know when it's like a lost cause, and step away
yourself
from it. Exactly.
I think focusing inward is always the right answer.
And
it's always the truth. We hand me that folder, honey, on top of the right speaker.
And I think that also a lot of mistakes that people make is that they think that they can influence other people, but they don't have themselves mastered. And you can never totally master yourself anyways. God, this mic is just not working right today. You can never have yourself totally mastered anyways, so it's like,
it's always evolving. You always have something to learn. So trying to influence other people, like, for example,
I have a friend that smokes cigarettes, and it's like, I can tell him to stop smoking cigarettes. I can try to explain to him why it's terrible for him. I can tell him how I quit, but ultimately, what am I doing? I'm just wasting my breath.
He's only going to quit when he wants to quit.
Exactly. He's only going to quit when he wants to quit, and I can use that time to better effectively help myself. You know what I mean? And instead of just waste my time talking about it, I just don't see, the point of continuing to reiterate it. So it's like, you know, you can help someone if they ask for it, but at a certain point you just gotta just walk away from that situation. Doesn't mean that you don't care about them, and it doesn't mean that you don't want to help them in any way you can, but you have to be able to know when they're helping themselves, you know.
Yeah.
So
The War of Art.
yeah,
I loved that book.
Pressfield. Yeah.
I want to read a quote from it.
Okay.
I liked it because it's kind of just like, when I was listening to it, I was just trying to observe and take it in and be open to what he was saying, because it kind of made me feel lazy in a way. And it made me feel...
That's what that book is designed to do.
I know, but in a good way, like motivated. But like, I fucking slack too much. Probably, you know, I'm sure a lot of people feel like that. But here's a quote from the book. The more scared we are of a work or calling, the more sure we can be that that calling is something we have to do. He talks about resistance and how that resistance and fear and self-doubt and insecurity is a sign that you should be working on that and doing that. And gosh, that's so fucking true.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
It's so true.
It's kind of funny because a lot of the stuff that Steven Pressfield talks about in the War of Art is almost directly contradictory to what Robert Greene talks about in the 48 Laws of Power.
Interesting.
Well, I mean, it makes sense though, right? Because it's, for example, I mean, I'm trying to think of a good example, but he just, you know, with gaining power, like, okay, Robert Greene actually uses an artist as an example. He uses Picasso. Is that the dude with the fucked up art? Okay. He uses Picasso as an example throughout the entire book.
Wow.
And he just says that the reason that Picasso is as famous as he is and as desirable as he is the way that he handled himself. And he talks about how he would not lead too much onto what the meaning behind his art was, because most of the time he didn't even have a meaning, but he would let other people talk about his art with him, and they would come up and they would describe their own meanings to it.
I love that.
And he would play off of that. He'd be like, yeah, I don't know, maybe, you know, and then let their mind just fucking just, you know, wilt in the thought of like, man, this guy is so deep. What exactly is
it
is
made
he
it more
trying to
like
go? Yeah, it made it more desirable.
Yeah.
And he would you know, he would, like, if there was people that he would never sign to one art dealer, there would be like art dealers trying to fight over him to get him to sign with them, and he would just work them against each other all the time. He would say, like, you know, I was so offended because this art dealer told me that he would only give me $20,000 for the painting, and then the other art dealer would be like, oh, well, you would not be offended if I offered you 50, would you? And he'd be like, I gotta think about that. And then he would let the person just sit and, you know, just go crazy over it. He sounds
like he read that book.
Yeah, well,
I mean, and he's obviously a legend. And there's people like that, and then there's people like me who has, like, I have to hear that my insecurities is something I need to work on. Like, that is, to me, and there's a lot of people like me who, I don't know, just sometimes put my passion on the back burner. Yeah. You know? Yeah. Because I am afraid of failure. I am afraid of not being good. I'm afraid of, you know, all those things you think in your head. Yeah. But everyone thinks that.
Yeah, I was listening to a podcast today
with Picasso.
Well, I mean, Picasso, what he did was realized that it's not the art that sells the art. It never is. It never is.
That's so true.
And, you know, a lot of people think that that's, like, I'm sure we have artist friends maybe that are listening to this right now, and I've always said that. You know, I've always said that in the past. I've always said, like, my production isn't great, but my networking is, you know? And it's like the same thing with just, it's all about, like...
Oh, you see that every day.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. It's not fair in that sense. It's not fair. It's not, but nothing is. I mean, look at the, you know, the starving kids in Africa versus the white middle class people in America. So, you know, you have to be able to look at what you want. If you're, you know, for a long time, what I wanted was to be successful with music and make my living doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was taking like this complete tyrannical business approach to it, which I think was a little bit over the top, because it is such an artistic scene that would work if the type of music I was making was in the hip hop industry or something like that.
Well, yeah, I mean, and there was other stuff too. We were kind of partying a little too much. But,
oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
But besides
we weren't taking
that,
the art serious. I mean, we weren't taking the whole thing seriously.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is that ultimately, I mean, when you look at, if you can name an artist, you know, a famous artist, you can pretty much like figure out that they were just really good at business for the most part. I mean, like, and then you can look at people like Nikola Tesla, who was brilliant, you know, a little crazy, but he was brilliant. But Nikola Tesla didn't have any desire to do business. And because he didn't want to do business, he wanted to put it all out there for free. He wanted to do, you know, all these things for free. He suffered. His stuff never got out there because people want to make money. So if you're not interested, you gotta have
a little bit of both.
Yeah, if you're not interested in putting your stuff out there on the market and making money off of it, who's gonna spend their time investing? Instead, they'll go get the fucking Thomas Edisons of the world, which are just crooks,
right?
And they'll steal the ideas off of the person that wants to give it away for free, because they want to give it away for free anyways, right? And then they'll profit off of it. So, and that's, you know, it's luckily, I think in our day and age right now, it's starting to change a little bit, because we have the internet, and that can spread truth really quickly. So like people like Elon Musk, who are I mean, first of all, he's a great business guy, but putting that aside, with him putting out Tesla for free and stuff, he still gets all that credit, you know, where if this was back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, that might not be the case.
Oh, for sure.
You know, because people would just take his stuff and either realize that it wasn't profitable enough and push him down. Yeah. Or they would take it and steal it because he's fine with it being out there for free as long as it gets out there. Yeah. And maybe that might not affect him. You know what I mean? I mean, as
that's
much,
definitely true about the internet, though.
Yeah. So
it used to be a little different.
Yeah. But yeah, and I mean, this whole book, The 48 Laws of Power, it talks a lot about conning people and stuff like that. And you know, a lot of the cons that he talks about wouldn't work these days, you know? But the principles are still the same, because he's really basing it off of human nature. And
it sounds like you would learn a lot about like social, like just humans.
That's what it is. Social cues.
Yeah. Our, not even personalities, but how we interact with each other. And yeah, humans are so weird. Yeah.
He talks a lot about just why humans get conned and fooled into things, because it's just, you know, especially with money, if you can figure out a way, I mean, this is him talking, not really me, but if you can figure out a way to get someone to trust your idea, once they have that in their head, it's like really hard to change that. You know, it's really hard because people do pattern recognition and stuff like that.
They identify with something.
Yeah, they figure out, like, if you can get, you know, if you're in it for the long haul and you want to con someone for the long haul, then you can just continue doing patterns of good and stuff like that. And then, you know, it's like eventually, it's like if let's say that you're a millionaire and you banked with Wells Fargo, right? And you always passed good checks. And then one day you wrote a check for $100,000 or something, and they covered it because you've always been good in the past and you've always had that money in the past, but somehow you were able to get the money out of there or something, so it wasn't covered. Like, you know, they're gonna eat that because in the past you've always been good, but now this one fluke, you know what I mean? It's like and those kinds of patterns apply to humans more so than a banking system. It's like they, you know, if you have a friend and every time that you've loaned him money in the past, he's paid you back, and then he asks you for $10,000 and you have it, you're going to give it to him.
Yeah, that's weird. It's like the difference between just like a fluke or someone intentionally building your trust and then fucking you. That's very weird.
Yeah, totally. So it's really interesting. You know, it's a great book, though. I strongly recommend anybody read anything by him. I started reading another book by him called The Art of Seduction, and I had to stop reading it.
Really?
Yeah. It was just so...
manipulative.
Yeah, manipulative. I couldn't handle it. Was a little bit too much for me. And like, I think that it was just... You know, and it's
you don't feel like you need to master that enough to
I don't
to
feel
bear
like I
through
need
it
to
and read it.
anything, you know, but like
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, because he really, it's what's really great about him is that he uses so much historical stories. So you learn a lot about Cleopatra, who was like the master seductress. You know, like she was great. So, and it's really interesting, but then he like uses it for guys to you know like lie to women and all this stuff, and it was just a little...
I don't understand why would you lie? You can't seduce someone through being yourself. Like, I don't understand. Maybe I should just read the book. I don't know.
Most of the time not. I mean,
really?
Yeah, I think about it. I mean, like, I hate to say
I don't agree.
It depends on who you are.
Okay.
Right? I mean,
I can't. I don't feel like I'm a rare special case. I think most women want a genuine person and a genuine guy.
As long as they like that guy, as long as they're attracted to that guy. What if it's someone that they're not attracted to?
So it's for the people who...
It's for if there's someone that is unobtainable or something, it's like...
might have a hard time doing that. They can pretend to be genuine.
Sure, yeah.
Is that kind of the gist of it?
It teaches you, like... He uses this to kind of set a platform so that he uses it to set a platform so that, you know, you're playing off of the emotions of the other person. You're putting yourself out there enough but not too much, and you're like letting your presence breathe, and you're building a fantasy, and you're getting to know your person without them knowing that you know them. Like, you know, you're having like a friend of yours like become friends with their friends, so that way...
So your friend's in on it too?
Yeah, sure.
Huh.
If you really want to win.
Guys go through a lot.
Well, I mean, it's not just guys though. He talks about women. I mean, like I said, he uses like one of the main example that I'm just saying, I know that you're joking, but I'm just saying that,
it's all about the pussy.
Well, but he also, he's saying that, you know, he opens the book with the whole idea being that women, in the past never really had power because men could just rape them for sex. Yep. And men could, you know, like they controlled the government and they controlled the money and they controlled all these things. So women never really had power. Yeah. So the intelligent women would figure out ways to mentally fuck the dudes, mentally rape the dudes, you know, get them so wrapped around their finger that they were able to take over control of their dynasties, basically. And it is really interesting. It's a good book. I mean, it's so well written, you know, but I just felt so dirty. I'll come back to it. I'm not going to stop reading it. I'll come back to it. But I just like the whole time I'm reading, I'm just like, oh, I don't know. It was weird. I don't like, same with the laws of power though. I have to take breaks from that. Like I'll read like 2 or 3 chapters or 2 or 3 laws, and then I'll stop and go listen to some podcast about, you know, eating mushrooms or something. Cause
something nice.
Yeah. Something
fluffy.
Yeah. Because it's a little bit over the top for me. I really, you know, I don't like manipulating people. And I do feel like, my personality can go that direction, you know, like I'm pretty good at not like, I don't really see it as manipulating, you know, I see it as like blending, you know, like figuring out
what benefits someone so you can be benefited by that. And then,
well, just like understanding, like I'm pretty good at gauging what people's interests are and getting them to talk about it. And, you know, like, I don't know, like there's things I'm good at doing like that. And it freaks me out when I'm reading this book because I'm just like, fuck, you know, like it's like actually it's shed a lot of light on some of the things that I do and why I do them, and it is why I do them, you know. And it's like I never really thought of it.
It kind of might be a little heavy because you're also reflecting on like, oh, yikes, that is the real me. That is kind of ugly.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like I do think those things.
Yeah, it's really strange. Like I pride myself on being a pretty upfront and honest person. Like I don't like to lie. I don't like to manipulate.
Yeah.
But just like what this book really shows is more that you're able to transform someone's thoughts just by letting them talk,
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, because once you kind of like let them take the road and they trust you and they'll, it's like one of the examples that he gives is, if you're trying to find a dirty secret about somebody or trying to figure something like that out, get dirt on someone, you could like lie to them and give them dirt on yourself, but it doesn't need to be real dirt. So, if I was trying to prove that you cheated on your partner and, it's because my partner is friends with your partner. Yeah. And they want to know or whatever, then I would just be like, dude, I got to talk to you about this. Like I had an affair on Kendra. And, it was like, I didn't mean for it to happen. We were just drunk at this hotel and you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, like I'm confiding in you and a lot of times people feel obligated to return the favor.
Yeah. Nosy bitches, in the first place. But no, that's true though. Like recently I had a friend open up to me about, the reason why she got married. And I told her the reason why I got married. And I don't normally tell people that. I don't normally lead with it. That's funny. Yeah, but and I mean, like, it was hard for her too. So I feel like, is your shoulder okay? Yeah. Eric's a little sore from his car crash. I just felt like I didn't want her to feel like she was alone. Like we all have, maybe not the best ideal reasons for doing things. I don't know. But yeah. Yeah.
I think that's
just like a recent example I can think of.
Yep. I think that's kind of proof right there. Yeah. You're like a science experiment. So
what else we got?
So I want to talk about the other books though.
Bruno, come here, bud.
Okay, so then I read Aubrey Marcus's book On the Day, but that's like my third time reading it.
I like his writing style too.
Well, I think that he was influenced a lot by Robert Greene.
Oh, really? Wow. I think
Robert Greene's his favorite author.
Good to know.
Yeah, he said that in the past. So
I like the way sex. Let's talk about sex. I like what he was saying about sex.
What?
That you should have more of it, and that's why people are so depressed. Not like the whole reason, but
yeah. His entire book sheds light on why people are depressed. I mean, it's like
but that's part specifically. I just thought it was really, really cool what he had to say about it. How like I don't know, it's not as important as it should be, and he holds it to such a high standard and to such a high. I mean, that's the reason why he's in an open relationship, really, is because he's that type of person that, like, needs that more than...
Well, I mean, but he also, like, in the book, he says that he goes on, he'll take a week off. Yeah. And he'll...
that's good, too.
Take a week off of any sexual thoughts, any sexual porn, any sexual anything. He'll just take a week off completely just to make it more fun. Yeah, just to try to enhance his sex life.
Right.
And because
I bet that helps.
Yeah, and he uses this, oh my gosh, I can't think of what it's called right now. This law though, and it's just basically like whenever you have too much of a good thing, it's not good anymore, and
that's the honest to God why I take breaks from coffee and weed sometimes, because I like them so much.
Yeah. Yeah. And
I'm doing this every day. I need to take a little bit of a break, so when I go back to it, I'll really like it.
Yeah, that's a really strong character trait to be able to do that, because not a lot of people can.
Yeah.
I have a hard time with it. I mean...
Yeah, I do good at that.
Yeah, that's something I've always admired about you. That for me isn't really the case. Like, I have a hard time with that. Like, when I get into drugs, I get into them 100%. And
I just like to have fun, and I feel like it's not going to be fun if you're doing...
Right, yeah.
If you're drinking every night. Yeah. Like, okay, why is that fun? Like, remember when you first got drunk, how fun that shit was? Yeah. And then, like, 1 year later, you drink every single night. It's not as fun.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
It gets old. You need to switch it up.
Yeah, and another thing, he just talks about... it's kind of funny because like his book's called Own the Day, for those of you that aren't familiar with it. And he just goes through like basically the best day that you could have, like how to have the best day. And you should try to do it at least once. Just have one perfect day. And it starts out with, you know, waking up and drinking what he calls his water elixir, some shit. I don't know, water margarita or something like that, like a water drink.
It's just like salt and minerals and lemon juice.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
And that's what we do. And I know. And so
way before we like knew about him.
That's what cracks me up is like a lot of the stuff in his book, I don't feel like I struggle with at all. The only thing that he really, I guess that he shed light on that I really never was into was the journaling thing.
I love that we do that because that was something that I love to do, but I don't do it consistently.
Right.
And now that we're doing it together, it's so much fun. And I'm like writing a lot more, and I'm writing poems a lot more. Yeah. Which I love to write poems. I like how he focuses on just your day. I know he's obviously into long-term goals, but you can only create and have success in long-term goals if you're just focusing on one thing at a time and focusing on one day at a time. Yeah, and that's I think kind of his powerful.
Point. That's kind of his point, because a lot of people, myself included at times, get bogged down by long-term goals because you think, you know, for example, like with music, this is one that I struggle with so much because I love writing music, but I have been very lazy with it for the last year. And so it's every time that I open my laptop, I start writing and I get frustrated because I'm not writing as well as I should be. But if you just take and spend 20 minutes a day doing it, then, you know, at the end of the week, you've spent like an hour and a half. And then after a while, you know, that hour and a half compounds and then you get better. And then as you start getting better, you want to spend more time doing it. So it's kind of like working out.
Absolutely.
You know, and it's working out the mind, basically.
Yeah, and when you're working out, you're not there to compare yourself to when you lifted heavily like 5 years ago. You're there to get better.
But sometimes you do. I mean, I'm also guilty of that, though.
That's what I'm saying. It's not like... Well, okay, that's a bad example then. I'm trying to compare it. With music, though, we've talked about this plenty of times. You're comparing your work to like how it used to be, and it takes away from you actually working on it and getting better. It takes away from the purpose of why you're doing it.
Yeah, and that same thing does happen with me in the gym, though. Yeah. Like if I take time off the gym, I always I'm like, fuck, I'm gonna go in there and I'm, you know, 40 pounds lighter than I should be and all this stuff, and then, you know, and then I just don't go. And I do too,
but it's just it's unhealthy. It's not the right way to do that, because you're there for health. You're not there.
Exactly. You're not there
to judge yourself and you know, think about how you're not as good.
Right. So it's cool. I've been I mean, like I said, I think that for a while now I've been kind of doing a lot of the stuff that he talks about, because I don't have a problem getting up and going to the gym every day, and I don't have a problem eating healthy, which is like one of the things that he's all about. Yeah. You know, I do that every day. Yeah. So it's kind of
great at that.
Yeah. So it's kind of cool. And like, I enjoy getting up early and doing that stuff. Like, I love to go to the gym before work, you know, for me, it's a lot. It kickstarts the day in a whole different
But do you remember, like, I mean, how long have we been good at this for?
Oh yeah. Just a few months, right? I mean,
yeah. So it's cool. Like, those baby goals and those baby steps are so important, because you start, like you said, with 20 minutes, and then all of a sudden you're excited to wake up and go to the gym for an hour. Like, you actually enjoy it.
Yeah, I know. I remember
it takes a while to get there.
When I first like had the Crohn's flare up, and I first started getting better, I was like, okay, all I'm gonna do right now is just focus on eating. And then after I had that down for a few weeks, I was like, okay, now I'm going to start implementing the gym. But I just started doing cardio. And then it was like, okay, now I've implemented cardio. Now I'm going to start implementing the gym. And now that I've got this going and I feel good, I can start focusing on my goals with podcasting, and I can start focusing on my goals with, making money and working more and doing shit like that.
Yeah, because you don't want to stress yourself out and stretch
Right.
yourself too thin at first.
Yeah.
Especially when you're not in good health.
Right. And it's kind of cool because I feel like I'm doing a hell of a lot more right now than I've done in a long time, but
Yeah.
I don't feel burnt out.
No, dude,
At
you're
all.
killing it.
Yeah, like I really don't. My dad and I were talking about it, about some, because I'm working on some cabinets for him.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah, I don't feel burnt out about working on your cabinets at all. I just need to just have the time to do it. I want to do more than I'm doing right now.
Yeah, there's definitely not enough hours in the day. We get up really early and
Yeah, I get up every day at 3:30.
Yeah.
I mean,
and we're busy the entire time.
yeah, and then don't get home until, if I'm lucky,
I am
I get
grateful
home
for
at
that
6.
though. I'm grateful for it.
For what? For being busy?
Yeah, I take my rest. Like, don't get me wrong, that's important too. But I'm just grateful that I have a job I can work at, that like I can go work out and work on my health.
Yeah.
That I pencil in time, to work on my art or whatever. I don't know. It's cool.
Yeah.
I'm really happy doing all those things.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it's cool because, I mean, I think that in order to live the life that you really want to have, you really have to stay focused and just,
Don't give up.
don't get stuck in those ruts, those grooves, it's really easy to get stuck in a certain path and a groove and a habit. Like, habits are really easy to get into, and then time starts to fly by, and then all of a sudden you're 3 years down the road, you've been smoking cigarettes every day and drinking energy drinks, every day for 3 years. And that's like the opposite. It's like the opposite, where when you do small amounts of good things, it slowly starts to compound into one good thing. Well, when you do small amounts of bad things, it starts to compound, and then all of a sudden you feel like shit. You can't breathe properly walking upstairs because you've been smoking for the last 3 years.
Absolutely.
You can't, you know what I mean? It's like that. Those small incremental negative things that you've done to your body are now 3 years down the line, and your fucking thyroid's fucked up, and your fucking kidneys are fucked up, and your liver's fucked up, and you have diabetes brewing,
Yeah. I think that's like awareness in the moment, being in the moment, and like
Yeah.
paying attention to what you're fucking doing
Yeah.
and not being like mindlessly going through life.
Yeah, exactly.
Clock in, clock out, like going through the motions.
And that's kind of the groove, that groove that I was saying, like that groove in the road. It's like when you're, when you're driving like in a snowstorm and there's ice, and then all of a sudden your tire catches a certain groove and it just stays in that groove. And it's like, life is a snowstorm, you gotta maintain control or else you're fucked. And
pay attention.
Yeah, you have to have control over your own self too. I mean, nobody's going to do it for you. And having self-control and having ownership and having, dependability on yourself, that yourself is, because dude, we're fucking lucky. Like, your body does so much shit. Your body can take a lot. And I remember there's something that Eric Wallace said to me, which he was another person we should try to get on the podcast.
Eric Wallace?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn, I didn't think about that.
That'd be a great idea.
Yeah. So I was, like, that's another thing Eric Wallace said to me a long time ago, like, you'd be really amazed at how fast your body heals itself.
And he was right.
And he's right.
He's so fucking right.
He's so right.
What's for people who don't know, that's when Eric first got sick with his Crohn's and was like hospitalized, lost a scary amount of weight, like worse than this time, I think. Like, it was bad.
I don't think it was worse than this time.
It was just as bad, maybe.
I think this time was worse.
Really?
Yeah, I was in way more pain.
It definitely lasted longer.
This time? Yeah.
I had more severe, like,
pain.
symptoms.
The pain was horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't even make it through the day. It was so bad.
It's weird, though, because Eric Wallace, they both have the same name. They're both Aquariuses. They're both vegan and then got Crohn's and then started eating this particular way. It's kind of like a weird, coincidence or whatever. But Eric Wallace helped Eric through that same journey that he went through. Yeah. And
I wish I could hang out with him more, because I feel like now, back when he was first helping me, I don't think that we were in the same headspace at all. Like, I was still drinking every night because I was working at the nightclub. Even when I was sick, I wasn't taking it really seriously. Like, I was taking some approaches. Yeah. But I mean, think about it. Like, it was as soon as I was able to drink, I was drinking.
As soon as you felt a little better.
Yeah, exactly.
But this time, when you felt a little better, remember, we learned our lessons.
Yeah.
We're like, no, we got to continue eating strict. And then, like, sure enough, you feel good now.
Yeah. And
like,
I
no more
enjoy
flares.
it. Yeah. And it's funny because I was like talking.
Remember at first? You're like, oh, I love food. I hate that I can't eat pizza.
But this food is so much better. And I think it's just because I trained my mind to think that, last night I was telling someone about it and just about how, I have to eat a very specific way. And she's like, oh man, I'm sorry. And I'm like, no, it's awesome. Like, I'm sorry that, everybody
that you're sorry
have to do this. I wish everybody had to do this or everybody does have to do this if
for
they want
optimal health.
they want to be healthy.
Yeah.
It's just some people can get away with more.
Yeah.
And so it was like I was really I'm really glad though that we live in a time when we have resources that we do, because once again the internet has helped shed light on the truth about diet and wellness.
Yeah.
Where before it was like the sugar thing in the 60s was a prime example of how someone could spread misinformation about diet and wellness and then influence an entire culture. I mean, think about like, how often are you talking to someone and you say something about fat and they say, something negative about it because...
Like literally all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Like when I was buying coconut butter,
yeah,
like a month or two ago, like when I first started eating like really, really high fat, I was like, damn, this is my third one this week. And I'm like, you should try it. It's really good.
Yeah.
And I had a couple girlfriends around me. And they're like, no, are you kidding me? I gained do you know how much calories is in here? And they're like looking at the back and I'm like, dude, I ate half a jar. And not only
yeah, you're like losing weight.
Not only do I feel really good, I'm not that hungry. I'm not craving sugar. I'm not like, I'm satiated. I'm fed.
Right.
It's so much better that way. But yeah, it's like we still have this misconception.
Yeah.
Fat
well,
makes you
calories.
fat.
That's a
calories,
like the caloric
yes.
misconception. I mean,
I know.
It's like, if you eat healthy, you can eat as many fucking calories as you want.
Yeah.
That's
you don't
just
have
true.
to count calories.
Yeah, you don't have to. Just
fucking
eat
unprocessed
healthy.
foods.
Yeah. If you eat 10,000 calories of salad or something, like, I wouldn't recommend it, but you're not going to gain weight doing that, and
and it's really hard to overeat salads.
Right.
Why the fuck would you eat that many? But you could eat, 5,000 calories worth of donuts in a sitting, probably. Yeah. Or however much, like a day's worth.
Yeah, totally. Sugar has so much calories. I mean, okay, it's but calories don't matter. It's just sugar has all of the shitty calories.
Yeah.
And because you have a certain amount of glucose store, once you hit your glucose store, you're storing it, the rest of it, as fat.
Yeah.
So you're gaining weight. And that is why people gain weight. And it's crazy that myth is still in existence, because I feel like when I talk to people about eating healthy, and I can sit there and I can explain all of this, and then they'll still say something about cholesterol or whatever. Yeah. And I'm like, no, that's not even true, Even Dina said something to me about it. I said, what did I say? I asked her if she ever did the butter coffee, and she said no, because of cholesterol. And then I said, Dina, that scientific study has been disproven for years, and that it's
dude, my mom's the same way.
Yeah. I tried to explain it to her, and she was like, really? Like, and I could tell that she was still really hesitant on what I was saying. Like, she didn't, and that's fine. Like, do your own research, figure it out for yourself.
Yeah.
But that stigma it's like, once, it's kind of like the manipulation thing that we were talking about earlier. Once people believe something from a trusted source, and they think the government's trusted, and these were funded government studies. So it's like, once they, hear something from a trusted source, it is almost 10 times harder to change their mind back, even when the data is right in front of their face. They can read the data. Yeah, they can read the data, and it's almost like they don't want to admit that they were wrong, So
well,
they
yeah,
just
especially
keep
I feel
on-
like with diet, especially
Yeah.
people get really religious-y with it.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy. Especially the vegans and the fucking carnivore people.
Yeah,
Like the
it's
the
crazy. They're
carnivore
like
diet.
both the most extreme thing.
Yeah, it's so
I
funny.
mean, I don't necessarily think vegan is extreme, but eating just meat is fucking
vegan
extreme.
can absolutely be extreme.
Can be,
Well,
but I don't necessarily.
Vegan is extreme.
I don't know. I mean,
vegan, like the extreme version of eating.
Okay,
like that,
let's compare how many fruits and vegetables there are to how many kinds of meat you could eat.
but okay, but that's
Michaela Peterson literally only eats beef. Anyway, she doesn't even eat other kind of meat. She just eats one thing all the time.
yeah, I understand
Like
that.
you have a diverse
that might
of
work,
micronutrients.
but that might work for her. I mean, it might. I mean,
she's been doing it for what, 4 months now. Let's just wait it out.
I
and
agree.
see.
She's gonna become deficient in
That's
something.
ridiculous.
I mean, I agree with you. There's no way that she couldn't become deficient in something.
I mean, I'm not even saying like she was gonna become deficient or not, but I think it's ridiculous that she
thinks that she's perfectly healthy.
Well, she thinks that this is the right way for everyone. It's
Right.
like, dude.
Oh,
when
yeah,
she was
that's-
saying that
that's
had
crazy.
been 3
Yeah,
months. It's
that's
like,
psycho.
give it some time. Like when
Yeah.
I first went vegan, I thought it was the answer.
Right.
5 years later, I changed my mind because my body asked for other things, and I was,
But
I
being
had
vegan
health
is still
problems.
extreme. I mean, look, the
I'm
people
just
that
saying,
are vegan,
I don't think it's as extreme as the carnivore diet.
Okay, I think that's fucking. That's like, well, okay, I guess that's just like saying that like Christianity isn't extreme as Islam. It's not, but it's just as stupid. Do you know what I'm saying? Like it's just an ideology that people base stuff off of, and they get emotional about when you talk about it, and they don't feel comfortable to talk about it. Like when I go on Twitter and I see these people talking about diet, I'm just like, you guys are acting like fucking children right now. You're fucking yelling at each other over what you put in your body, and what works for you might work for you, and what works for him might work for him. But why the fuck are you arguing about it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
you
like,
don't know each other.
yeah, Jesus Christ, dude. It's like
It is so dumb.
it's so dumb. It's such a waste of fucking time.
I used to waste my day arguing with people about diet.
Yeah, and that's part of the reason why I feel like I can criticize it, because it's like it's the same reason like I feel like I can criticize tweakers and make fun of them and stuff like that, because I was one. So
Word.
I feel like I can do that with vegans too. So I like silly vegans, get your shit together. It's just, if it works for you, it works for you, but that doesn't mean it works for everybody else, and it is really frustrating seeing people argue about something so it's like seeing people argue about religion.
Yeah.
What?
I don't know.
What?
I don't think it's silly necessarily.
Why?
Okay, so cutting out an entire group of food, no matter what, is possibly silly, just based on the fact that you need different things at different times. But the vegan movement it's more to it than just health. They just got the health part a little tweaky.
Yeah.
It's about animals, like no one wants to kill something else to survive.
But that's not
That's
even true though. That's not. That's what the intention is behind it. But a lot of times the people that are doing it are just doing it because they want to play identity politics and be a part of a tribe, and they're not actually doing shit for the animals. I mean, all they're doing is not eating animals, but they don't actually look into the corporations that they're supporting.
No, I know.
They're not
true.
realizing that the impact that it has on the environment and the ecosystem, and how that could influence animals and the future of animals. There's, you know what I'm saying? Like, there are sustainable farming practices and there are unsustainable farming practices, and oftentimes there are, like, look, if a vegan becomes a vegan for animal rights reasons, and all they do is source their food properly, are extremely, knowledgeable about it, and they try to eat healthy for themselves, and they source food properly, and then they don't parade it around, and they just, if someone asks them, they have the information and they want to, like, that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. But that's not what you're getting when you talk to most people, because when you subscribe to anything that extreme, which it is extreme, I mean, honey, you know what I mean?
Well, I was going to say, like,
It's
there's
like,
a big difference between, like, a strict vegan, which is,
This is what we're
just
talking
what you're
about, yeah.
describing, versus, like, trying to just be better to animals. Because even when I was vegan, I still used honey, and
Felt bad.
Well, I tried to stop multiple times.
Yeah.
But I wash my face with honey. I use it as a sweetener. I use it in like shampoo, like hair masks. I use it for so many different things that I don't know. I realized years later that I'm like, okay, I could not eat meat and maybe just use honey and like source it from a local, beekeeper that's using good practices, because that's all I need to do, right?
Right.
And it's in return healthy, for everyone.
And also,
so that's what I don't like about it, is because even for me, people get into this and like, oh, I'm feeling pressure from the vegan community or even myself because I'm not 100% vegan because I still use honey as a face wash or something.
Right.
That's what I don't like about it.
And then also you have to consider the fact that like most people that do this, there's animal products in just about everything, unfortunately. I mean, that is unfortunate. I do find that unfortunate, but like red dye is oftentimes beetles. Like there's there's a lot of different products and stuff that have just random animals. But when you source it right and you inform yourself on where you're getting stuff and the farm and you do all that, you're a part of a beautiful cycle of life that I think is so important to be a part of as a human. I think that it's so important to be a part of as a human. Man,
like, I totally agree.
Could you imagine?
I really do.
Yeah, could you imagine having a lion not be able to chase the gazelle? To me, that's like taking a sliver out of that lion. Like you're taking a part of that lion and you're, like in a zoo, lions, they eat slabs of meat. And it's like, that is so nasty to me that they're not able to release that hunt, that fucking primal, like I think that
participation in the cycle of life. I feel the same way for plants too, though. Like,
of course,
I mean that should be the only goal ever, is have that journey with your food, source from a good source, totally. Like be a part of it. Yeah. And I mean, that's when you have respect for it and appreciation for it, is when you're a part of it. Yeah,
go pull some of the fucking food out of your dirt and like feel the dirt on your hands, and then wash the lettuce that you harvested yourself and then eat it. And it's a whole different experience
when you work hard for it.
Just going to a drive-through and ordering a salad, because you can order salads. But I mean, think about, that's dead food. That's dead food. I mean, people want to say, like, oftentimes that the vegan quote was like, my food's alive and the animal food's dead or whatever, dead animals and stuff like that. But it's like, when you're eating shitty vegetables, that's dead food too, because you're eating a vegetable that has it's so much less nutrient dense. It's been carted around from warehouse to warehouse,
got wax all over it.
There's just the whole cultivation of it,
preservatives on it,
terrible. So
we don't need to beat this horse. We talk about this shit all the time.
So anyways, well, I think that we can close it up.
Wait, shout out to Four Sigmatics. Oh, yeah. I wanted to get this out. They are a company from California, Los Angeles, and they're all organic, USDA organic. They do mushrooms and elixirs, coffee, golden milk, matcha, and then just their regular elixirs. And they put like chaga, reishi, lion's mane, all those good mushrooms, cordyceps for energy. I don't know, but they're really cool. But they did a tour and they stopped by Pilgrims in Coeur d'Alene. And I met Bryce, one of the team leaders, and he said he was going to check out our podcast.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that was cool. And then I bought a shirt from him.
You should have asked him if he wanted to go on the podcast.
You know what? I wanted to, but I was having issues with my phone that day. It broke. I was going to ask you, because he was actually kind of wanting to hang out and go to the hot springs or something.
Dude, yeah, you should.
I know, I fucked up, but I dropped my phone and I broke it for a little bit. Yeah. But anyways, his name was Bryce, and his bus, he had this cool bus that he was living in for 3 months to travel or 2 months, I'm sorry, to travel around and do this tour. And the bus's name was Maury, and it was so cute inside, and it had mushroom painting. It was called the Shroomobile. I love that company. They're really cool.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah,
that's so cool. I really like. I like that there's a movement for this right now. I hope it continues to spread. I think it will.
What? Just mushrooms or health.
eating healthy.
Yeah.
You know, like having healthy products, like
products that you can trust.
Yeah, bulletproof. Like, you know, like
Mhm.
that company seems to be always expanding. It's been around for a long time, but it seems
Yeah.
like really recently it's starting to grow in popularity. And I think that, you know, I really like the dude behind that, Dave Asprey. I think he's kind of a kooky guy, but I like him a lot.
He's a little cookie.
Yeah,
But
but
nice.
you know, I like that it's starting to, you know, and I'm not saying the keto thing, because the keto, you know, I'm just saying eating healthy, not, you know, not having a coffee that has fucking 10 pumps of vanilla and, you know, almond milk because you think almond milk is the good alternative. It's like you know, having just the butter. I mean, even if you have just the butter, it tastes fucking good.
Tastes so
you know,
good.
just that, nothing else. It tastes good. Yeah. So anyways, I just wanted to say that if I seem a little tired today, I think I'm a little worn out because of the car accident. So I'm sorry.
I can't believe you wanted to record. I was like, really?
Yeah, I know, I did. Yeah, I wanted to. I had some other stuff that I really wanted to get into, but I think I might get into that next podcast when I'm feeling a little bit more energized. So
yeah. Word.
But
well, I'm glad you're good. I'm glad the pup's good.
Yeah. And if you guys enjoyed this podcast, give us a 5-star rating or something, or just follow us on Instagram or whatever. You know,
5-star rating on
whatever you're listening on.
Cool.
So Stitcher, iTunes,
I didn't know you could
YouTube.
rate on Stitcher.
Yeah, you can. You just have to do it from their website.
Share it.
Share it with your friends. Also, you know, hit up Fight for the Forgotten, fightfortheforgotten.org. Support Justin Wren. And that is the way that you can support us.
Word.
So it's not actually supporting us, though. Just don't do
like
that.
Money-wise.
Yeah, it's just supporting us emotionally. So, but thank you so much. We love you, and have a good rest of your night. All right, bye.